I don't see you in Facebook yet. Unless it's
Man.
been.
It says that we're live. I don't know what happened to my countdown.
Uh-oh.
Do you see it, Mary?
No. Oh, I hear myself.
You hear yourself?
Hello, everybody.
Are we on?
Yeah. You're on YouTube now.
Okay. Well, I'll start talking.
Yeah.
Hey,
What happened?
hello and welcome to the Drummergy podcast. I'm your host, Fred Rock Fisher, and I am here with one of my great friends, Matthew Hartz. Ba-na-da-da-da.
Thomas
Thank
is here.
you. I'm very glad to be
It's
here.
weird. I don't know
Well,
why.
okay, so this is an odd beginning to the show because normally we have a 30-second countdown, and I didn't see it happen. We were just suddenly live. So here we are. And we're gonna lean on the producer here a little bit just to make sure that we are live on Facebook.
You are.
We are?
Yep.
And we're on YouTube. Okay, cool.
How do you do all that?
I don't know, it's the magic of technology.
A lot
The
of
magic.
technology here.
Yes. So
This is hot.
I am here with the amazing Matthew Hartz, and I got to tell you, I call him Matt, but I think you prefer Matthew.
No,
you prefer
that's
I'm
that
a
comes out
friend
of-
on a different level.
Well, no, that's really, to be honest with you, I've been called both ever since I existed.
Right.
Certain
Yeah.
people. But at about, I guess it was about around the 2012 or 13, I started working with a gal that was kind of streamlining my marketing stuff between websites and just all the different places, and there were both. And she goes, she goes, for marketing reasons, you need to pick one that you use consistently in marketing. And so I just think professionally, Matthew Hartz sounds better than Matt Hartz, and I just like it. So I did make that decision, and it's created like problems, when people will market me, in that they still know me as Matt Hartz. And so, and I'll ask them if it's something that's got a lot of visibility. I'm going, hey, if there's any way you could change that. And just because I do want to keep it, the websites, that everything,
Sure.
just want to keep it consistent.
When they're looking for you, if they put in Matthew Hartz, they're going to find you.
Or Matt Hartz, they're going to find me. And I always tell people, please call me anything you want to, as far as, even poop head. But it professionally, if it's going to be in print, I would, if it's good, I would prefer it to be that way, so it stays consistent business wise.
Well, I'm Frederick, but I've never gone by Frederick.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a little kid, I was Freddie.
Yeah.
Freddie, i.e., not the Y, Freddie. And sometimes people still call me Freddie, and it takes me back to that being a little kid thing, right? And then Fred Rock came along in the early 90s, and as a nickname, but when I was younger and I was touring, they would say, back on the drums is Fred, and sometimes people would laugh. They're like,
You mean Brad?
That's an old guy's name. So I started going by my middle name, Dean, for a while, and that just never sat right
That's
with
an
me.
old person's name.
Wow, I didn't know that I've never thought that Fred's an old person's name.
Well, I didn't either, but here I think my age is starting to match my name.
Fred
though.
Flintstone would be pretty old.
Yeah.
Dang it. But then people just don't believe me that my name's Fred. They call me Jeff or Brad or anything else.
Yeah.
But like you, I don't mind what you call me as long as it's not late for dinner. Right?
Yep.
So I'll probably just call him Matt because that's what I'm used to.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It's Matthew Hartz, ladies and gentlemen.
His website is
Oh,
posted.
see, the producer's got your website in there, MatthewHartzMusic.com.
Yeah. Now let me say something about that.
Yeah.
That's, as you found when you went and got the bio for that, that is a teaching website.
Yeah.
That's solely focused on the instructional side of my career, so
Sure.
it's kind of so heavily focused on that it leaves a lot of the other things out right now, but that's just the way it's designed.
Yeah. So Matt, I usually start the show off with some goofy holidays. There isn't much happening today, but happy December, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
We're into. How was your Thanksgiving?
Fairly non-existent. I had I had a lot of excitement before Thanksgiving this year. I planned and held a 80th birthday party for my mom on November 7th.
Oh, wow.
And so I really didn't feel like I needed any parties after that.
Sure.
Just kind of, whoa. But I did something interesting.
Yeah.
I've been into intermittent fasting for the past couple of years and done some experimenting with some other things because I had so much success with it. And for me, it's about my autoimmune conditions like psoriasis and things like that. But I planned it and I executed. My last meal was at 10 o'clock on Thursday, and I didn't refeed until 10 o'clock Sunday night. So 72-hour fast.
Wow.
So there's my Thanksgiving for you.
Wow.
It was amazing. And it was more the willpower part of it is like, gosh, dang, I did that. But I feel amazing too. And the reason I did 72 hours is because they say that you get an immune system reset at 72, that you don't get at the shorter fast that literally will help. You'll gain whatever gains I've made in that amount of time will stick. Wow. And my body feels amazing and all that. I don't want to get on that too long, but you asked about Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, this is a show about life and music. So I think
you did that for 72. So then you ate, and then how long again before you ate your next?
Well, I kept it light. They said to start. I started with some bone broth and just some avocados and stuff. You want to be easy on your stomach after there hasn't been anything in there for a while. So I just ate real light. And then the next, yesterday I had another fairly light meal, but added some eggs and sausage and stuff like that. But just kind of eating normally now.
So it's back to Maverick Pizza?
No, I didn't want to read feed with that. This, as you know, when we're out with Cliff Miller,
yes,
that's when my diet tends to get bad. Although one of the times with me and Cliff were out as a duo, one time, and I remember him calling Christy, and I was on a real health kick at that point, and she must have said, "What are you doing?" He says, "I don't know." He says, "But Matt said he's eating a refrigerator full of raw vegetables." Or I had a bag. Instead of eating on the road, I was doing that trip. And so.
Well, you feel better, I'm sure, doing that, and your wallet feels better. You know
what? I was telling my dad too. I said, "You know how much money I spent on food the past 3 days?" And getting an immune system reboot.
So during those 3 days, did you just drink water? And
just water, and then I did have some black coffee, as long as you don't have anything that starts your insulin. So it can't be anything that has coffee in it. I mean, calories in it.
Oh, gotcha.
So it can't. That's the whole thing is about blood sugar and insulin.
Gotcha.
Okay. Wow. Well, I need to find that same discipline, Matt, because you look great.
Well, thank you. And you know what's neat? God, I didn't mean to be on this too much.
I love it.
There's the autophagy aspect of it, and I don't know if you've ever heard about that, but it's if you get far enough into a fast, I think it's usually somewhere in the second day, your body switches into this thing. It's a cleanup mode called autophagy, where they get in and really get rid of precancerous stuff. It goes in and but it literally de-ages you, so your skin should start looking brighter and all that stuff. And I've noticed that when I've done the fast too. I go, man, it does tighten up your skin, and so
That's
everything.
cool.
I gotta try it.
Yeah, it's what, getting your body used to it. When I first started it and heard about it, I thought, I can't ever do that. I can't, but I started out by just experimenting with it for a while, and once I got to being able to do that one big meal a day, and then I realized, wow, once I set my body up on that rhythm, I go, I've got way more energy this way.
Yeah.
I can carry myself into the day way further than if I get up and I eat, especially if I eat something with a lot of sugar and carbs in the morning, like a big bowl of cereal or something like that. Or the worst thing is a stack of pancakes with butter and syrup on it. I mean, I am gone for the rest of the day. That's just,
wow. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's true. Like our body, we're just not eating well as a society.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a book you followed, Matt?
A book,
like a book or something? Like,
I've got tons of people that I follow on the internet, and I wish that there's just a bunch of these. Some of these people are doctors, actual legit doctors. And then some of them are more holistic people, but it's funny. There's the fasting thing. Just about a month ago, the first negative press started coming out about it from the American Heart Association and some other people. And there's a lot of reasons. I saw something yesterday where they were selling, it's who's against fasting? Well, big pharma is against fasting because and food companies. So the American Heart Association, I if I'm not wrong, I mean, they're propped up by food companies like PepsiCo that own Taco Bell and all, all the things, right? Sure. And so it's like, I think I think it's the American Heart Association that came out and said the dangers of fasting and everything. And it's so you got to really sift through it these days, Sure. But I trust it 100%. And I've been doing it I know there's no dangers in it.
Well, you see the results and feel the results of doing that, right?
Sunday morning, Adam came over and we had to do 6 or 7 new teaching videos for the site. And I was sitting there thinking, golly, am I going to have that? That's going to be 60 hours into that fast. And I didn't tell him that I was fasting, and we made it. And I have never felt so steady, after 60 hours of no food. And I was sitting there and I didn't tell him till the very end. I said, I'm going to let you in on something. And he goes, holy crap. He says, you looked better. You seemed steadier today than ever have been. And I felt that way. And I said, yeah. And most people would tell me I should be in the hospital if I hadn't eaten for 2 whole days. Or I have people that are, you can't do that.
Oh, watch me.
Yeah, you can, and you can thrive. It's just about, you have to train your body to do it because it's uncomfortable at first.
Right. Yeah. Good morning, Tony Fuller.
Yeah.
Seal is here. James Harrison is here.
Seal said AM PM sushi. Ugh. Gas station sushi.
Oh, gas station sushi.
Dollar store lobster.
Yeah, you can get it at Fred Meyer too.
I just can feel the food poisoning coming out of that.
Oh yeah.
James Harrison says, how many Hartz have been national fiddle champions?
Yeah, let's talk about your accolades.
Only me. Only I think, as for Hartz is a pretty unique name. I have found some relatives across the country that I didn't know were there since the internet age, and everything. But it's no, there's not too many Hartzes around.
Well, so your bio, I'm going to try to hit some highlight stuff as we go along here. So, legendary Texas fiddle master.
Wow.
Matthew Hartz is an Idaho native. And I can't see because I don't have my glasses. He is a 3-time Grandmasters fiddle champion in Nashville and a 2-time Grand National Fiddle champion, Weiser, Idaho, and 2-time World Fiddle champion out of Crockett, Texas.
Wow.
Can you expand on these accolades a little bit, Matt? And what point in your life did this happen? And
most of it, with the exception of one of the world titles that happened kind of independently of all the others, that was about 10 years ago now, that last world title, because I really haven't been much a part of that contest scene since the late 90s, kind of. And most of that stuff happened right as I was coming out of high school. 18, 19 years old when I first won Weezer and Grandmasters and Crockett in like 88 and 89 in there. And, I was pretty, I feel really fortunate and blessed that I was able to do those things. Those events were huge back then. It was a different time. Weezer, for instance, Weezer still got a good contest going on up there, but just, for instance, this year, I think you were looking at maybe a total in all the divisions of about 150 contestants. And when I first won it in 1988, there were 588 contestants.
Wow.
So it's like everything's been really scaled down and all those things. It's more of, Weezer is a much smaller event for a lot of reasons, but culturally, just the whole thing is, people have other entertainment options.
Sure.
It's kind of been a victim of that whole scenario.
Sure. Yeah. Well, do you think like these contest things are more geared towards younger players, or maybe younger players have an interest in that more than?
Oh, you know what? I
adults?
always think about it. And Mark O'Connor, who's a famous musician, and he won Weezer a few times and Grandmasters. And, he always talks about the contest. The contests are a great training ground for the young fiddle players and musicians. You see, there's so many great players that come out of that, and they don't end up being contest players all their life, but it was where they kind of cut their teeth, right, and started to get in playing in pressure situations, and but there's other people that enjoy them so much that they just keep going to them all their lives. That's not my thing,
Right.
I do go sometimes just to hang out with the folks, and I judge a lot of them. I don't even like to do that though, just because it's so subjective, and I try to be as objective as I possibly can, but you're never going to satisfy everybody. Someone's always going to be ticked off no matter what decision you make. And so it's like, and I don't really see the point of it, to be honest, so it's just one of those things where, it's something I participate in every once in a while, but I'm just mainly going to see the people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm sure you have lifelong friends.
Exactly.
To that as well.
Yeah. People I've known for over almost 50 years.
Wow. So what was the thing that got you interested in music to begin with?
My dad.
Your dad? Now, I've met your dad a handful of occasions, and I love it when I see people of that age out.
Oh yeah,
and doing stuff. And
he's more out than I am. He was up before me this morning getting ready. He's still working at 87 years old.
Wow.
He loves it. It, and can't imagine being any other way, you know. And so I do. They'll say, people will say, "What's the old man up to?" And I said, "Setting the bar way too high."
That's awesome.
So he that's where your start happened, was a result of your dad.
My dad was a great musician and a music lover, and he and my uncle were both, from the time I can remember, very, very, very young. My dad played the banjo. He had taught himself how to play the banjo in the 60s. Didn't grow up playing the banjo, but at about the same time, my uncle got a guitar, and they started working on stuff together, and they would have family sing-alongs at all of our get-togethers. And I just remember it being an infant, just sitting at their feet and knowing someday I'm going to do that.
Oh, wow.
And so my dad was my North Star. And then, my dad had tons of records. I mean, I was exposed to, when he got into the banjo stuff, he got into, it was 5-string banjo, and he got into this flat and Scruggs real heavy, and the Scruggs style of playing the banjo, but he also learned frailing styles and clawhammer styles that were played by other banjo players at the time, like Pete Seeger just he was kind of just doing a lot of stuff. So I heard a lot of different things on the banjo, but it was because he was kind of cycling through that. So he was listening to all that music, but he was a big Dixieland jazz fan first and foremost. He grew up playing wind instruments, and so I got a heavy dose of traditional jazz at the very beginning, like 3 or 4 years old. And I really feel like, because the chord changes are so, you really learn a lot about chord changes when you're studying jazz, right? And that was one of the first musics that he had me looking at, and so just to look at the way all the things moved and all the chord progressions repeated, and start to see all the patterns and everything. I think that was a huge thing to me growing up when I started getting into other types of music, and even with the fiddle music. Learning to play in the Texas style of old time fiddle music, there's a special style of accompaniment that's a jazz based accompaniment that's chord changes every beat, right? Lots of passing chords, diminished and augmented chords, and lots of altered chords. And I learned those very early for the fiddle music, right? Didn't even know what I was doing, but when it came to studying jazz later on, I was already way ahead of the game. So.
Well, that's not everybody has that in their past, where the parents had a huge influence on their music. But I do know, like, maybe they'll thank their parents because the parents played music, had their records out and all of that.
And that would bring me to my mom, who's not, she played a little bit of accordion growing up and sang, but she wasn't really a musician. And she's still around. Love her. I said I had her 80th birthday the other day. But she was the one Dad had. That's what I was going to do. I was going to tell you all the different records Dad had, which was Flat and Scruggs, Pete Seeger, but then all the folk groups, Kingston Trio, Peter, Paul, and Mary. He was into Simon and Garfunkel. He was into the Mamas and the Papas. So I was all this stuff, But my mom, she, and I would go through and play these records. I just put it every day, putting records on the turntable, just listening to all of them. And she had these 3 albums by this group called the Beach Boys. And I still remember, I'd been listening to other things, and I put this LP, the second side of Summer Days and Summer Nights, this 1965 album, and the second side starts with California Girls, and there's a beautiful Bach-like intro that comes in before they start the song California Girls. And my folks say that it was about 28 seconds long, that I would put the needle down on that and just listen and pick it up, and just for hours I was just that intro. I would close my eyes, and for me, I have something called synesthesia, which is colors associated with certain aspects of music. And when I was a little kid, I had no idea what it was.
Okay,
I've heard of that.
So when I'd sit and close my eyes, and all of the chords going on, and I've always told people it was like a fireworks show going off in my head. Wow. I didn't know what it was, but it was something that none of the other music was doing for me. I was only like 3 years old. I was like, really, it just resonated so deeply. And there was something, not just in that tune, but other songs on that album. There's Let 'Em Run Wild. The chords that he was using, I didn't know it at the time. I knew nothing about chords. I just knew that something about this music, and I knew enough about chord change just to know, oh, that feels really cool. And for me, that's funny. We talk, I never know lyrics. Somebody says, isn't that a great song? And I said, what? Oh, it's about this. I go, I've heard that for 30 years. I never even knew what it was about, because I don't ever pay attention. I don't even know what some of Cliff's songs are about. It was only late, about a year ago, that I was sitting there thinking of June, which I love that tune. I love it for the musical aspects, since I know some of the lyrics, but something about sleeping on the trampoline and looking, oh my gosh, but me playing that song with you guys for how many years, and it's taken, and then finally I'll get to the word. For me, the lyrics aren't a song. The music, to me, music is so important that Brian Wilson's music wouldn't have to have any lyrics on it for me to get everything, because what I'm listening to when I listen to music, and it's whether it's Beach Boy music, fiddle music, or Asian pop music at the Chinese buffet.
Right.
I sit there and I start going 1, 4, 5. I start listening to progression.
Right.
It's automatic, and I'm listening to the bass line. I'm listening to the range. It's like that's the song to me. But to most people, a song is the words.
Yeah. Well, no, I wasn't really paying attention heavily to lyrics until probably the last 10 years. And I really felt like, Matt, this is a special moment.
Oh,
because
Barb.
Oh,
yeah.
The crazy is here.
Not the crazy. Hi, Barb.
That is Mary's mother.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to meet you in person, Barb.
Oh, that would make her. That would make
she
her day.
turns
That would be
85 this-
Really,
in just 8 days, yeah.
really happy birthday, Barb.
yeah, 85.
Wow.
Oh, I'm so glad she's here.
Yes, I am too.
Matt has heard all about you. So I was starting to say, like, I didn't really pay attention closely to lyrics until like the last 10 years or so, because I felt like I made better choices as a drummer based on the lyrics and what the lyrics were trying to convey emotionally.
Through
that. And
no, I definitely go along with that too,
but
and I say I don't pay attention to lyrics, but I do, and I have favorite lyric writers.
Sure.
too,
Yeah. I didn't assume you just ignored lyrics, but
no, I mean,
yeah,
there's so much, what my favorite lyric writers, I've written with collaborators before, and I've already had the music written, and I have a really good idea of what I want the cadence of the melody to do. Not so much the notes, especially, but even the rhythm of the melody.
Yeah.
And they'll come back with this thing that doesn't even. And I said, no, what I want to do is da 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 da. I like broccoli, or I don't care what the word is, but it better line up with the timing of my melody.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it's like making sure that your syllables line up with the cadence of my melody. That's the most important thing,
One thing that I really like about how Cliff sings is he doesn't sing or do phrases in little boxes. Like, he'll carry phrases way beyond the bar line. And
I love like Cliff's lyrics.
Yeah, he's not trying to make this thing fit in this little space. He figures out a way to make it fit over.
It's like the sentence wraps into the next phrase.
Yeah, there's something.
He's a great storyteller.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And like June, for example, that is my favorite Cliff Miller song. I've been a part of recording and writing along with Cliff, and there's a lot. He has, he doesn't have anything that I don't like, but June is by far my favorite.
Yeah, there's so many great songs. Cliff is such a great hook writer.
Yeah,
not musically and lyrically. And his, when I first met Cliff when he was in high school, and he and was recording with Sam and Bo as Abrupt Edge. And they did their first album in our studio. So that was, and that's when I first met Cliff, and so that was late 90s. And then it wasn't until about 10, 12 years ago that I started playing with Cliff. So there was this big period. I knew see Cliff every once in a while, but didn't know Cliff very well. I knew Sam Alkire very well because he's alive. Him and his dad and I are longtime friends, and I've known Sam for a long time. Then to get together with Cliff, and what I noticed immediately about Cliff, I played with tons of country bands over the years, and some of them traditional, some of them more modern, but especially some of the more modern stuff, what I call the top 40 country stuff. I mean, you talk about boring all night long.
Yeah.
I mean, it's musically, and you take it as a different type of a challenge. But if Cliff would have been that kind of writer, I don't think I would have jumped on to help. It was, I was drawn to the way Cliff wrote musically, and what I saw is he was bringing chord changes from the punk rock world and putting them in country music, and I thought, this will piss people off. So no, I just loved that. And those very first songs that we recorded on that first thing that he put out, that's Best Part of This Town.
Oh yeah, that 5-song
and
EP.
I remember the first time I heard Best Part of This Town and had Dad listen to it. He goes, that's a hit record, man. And Walking Nervous Habit, I still have a huge huge, I love that tune. I love that tune. But he's got, there's Cliff's got a lot of great tunes, and that's why this business is so funny, and I've seen people with very little talent go do a lot of great things, and but I have some of the most talented friends across this country that people have never ever heard about, that are some of the most supreme musicians that you'll never know, right? And so it's really weird how the whole thing works. I still think that if we're able to hit a real, there have been plenty of markets that have resonated with Cliff so far. I've never seen Cliff not do well in a particular market. But I just feel like his music is commercial and unique enough in those musical aspects that I really feel like, there's still, he could, I know he talks about, we're not, we're just making music out here, but I still think it would resonate on a wider level if it could find that thing.
Well, he too is in a similar environment like you. Like his dad had such a big music career.
Got to meet him finally.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, over in we were doing a deal in Jackson Hole. Me and him, and we were doing we played for a rehearsal dinner for a wedding.
Yeah. I remember him telling me about that. Yeah. Let's catch up on a couple comments here real quick. Do you feel like you're talking about having this jazz influence early on, and then talking about the Beach Boys and the music complexities that were there.
Because the jazz sensitivities, that's the thing that made me love Brian Wilson, because he brought jazz into rock and roll. That's what he did.
Right. And I think a lot of early rock and roll was heavily influenced by like the jazz greats.
Yeah, but they didn't bring it in like Brian Wilson did. They didn't bring all the minor seventh chords and suspended chords and diminished.
Right. But if you're looking at like the evolution of music, like rock had such a heavy jazz influence to it, where it had more of a swing to
blues, kind of more of a blues and because Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf, a lot of those blues guys were considered, those are the guys that the Stones were really into, and lots of other people. But then Chuck Berry, really, when he came along, that really exploded everything.
Do you feel like a lot of super popular music right now is just such dumbed down?
No, well, what I do see, and I started seeing this a long time ago.
There's 22 writers credited with writing this song.
And it's mostly about the words, because they're playing to the general public. But most of what I hear, I hear some great new music, but none of it's real popular. The real popular stuff is all formula.
Yeah.
I call it walking around Walmart drooling out of the side of your head music, because it's just four chords over and over and over. Pop music, or even a lot of country music, they figured out this formula. I talk to producers about it, and they go, "Yeah, we figured out that's what resonates with the masses," you know. And, one time when I was still teaching a lot, I remember when Taylor Swift got going. Of course, every little gal that was learning how to play the guitar wanted to do that stuff, and I realized one of the things I noticed is like, especially back then, is like everything was in the key of F on her records. It was just like, wow, that's interesting, you know, and everything. But you know, that's everybody says, well, maybe your voice is better than F. That doesn't determine, the key doesn't determine anything. The melody can be anywhere on the scale, and it can on the staff, and it could be in any key, right? You know, but for some reason everything was an F, as because I was having to learn these songs and teach them to the kids, right? You know, it's like, man, that's weird. And then I remember seeing some sort of a producer talking about, we found out that F is the key that really sell, you know, for her, you know, and like, you know, when they're getting into stuff like that, I mean, when you're writing songs and producing songs to resonate with people who have no musical intelligence at all, then it gets dumbed down automatically. It does.
Yes.
So let's get it 3 chords so these guys can hear it.
Right. But I wonder how many people are missing out on having an experience like you did, where like you just listen to that intro over and over and over and over again, and like fireworks going off in your mind. And
I think you have to be musically sensitive to begin with, probably. And my genetics probably helped out with that. And for some reason, I mean, I was so into music. I'm so lucky. I always knew what my North Star was. You know, I knew that I was just going to do stuff associated with music. I've never had a real job in my life. You know, I've owned music stores and played with bands and taught music, you know, but it's I've always known that it's going to be there, or that it was going to be the thing. And so I don't know how many people are fortunate enough to have that type of sensitivity built in. So I don't know. I don't know how much of that was part of the deal, right? You know,
right. Well, I think some of us are just born with that in our DNA to play music and excel at it. I personally know a lot of musicians, and I've played with a lot of people, some that I jammed with one time and some people that I work with frequently. But there are like 4 or 5 of these people that I know that when I play with them, there's just like this magic thing that happens. And you're one of those people that just, when you get on stage, like with you or a couple of these other people I know, there's a comfort in it. There's a confidence in it. And there's just, I don't know, something that comes from the soul out through the body into the instrument that just makes something happen on stage. It's kind of hard to describe that feeling, but it's really exciting.
Well, thank you. But I feel the same way with you. We know we can depend on each other. We've both been doing this a long time.
You're right. Yeah.
Like what's your favorite quote of mine? I said,
I
said,
I've played a lot of gigs, and this is one of them.
You know, just it's to tell the stories would be pointless. You know, it just, you know. But we've both been doing this a long time, and so we know that the stage is not. I know that the stage is not going to get to you. You know, the stage is not going to get to me. You know, so we're going to be able to show up and play confidently. But I know that one of the things that I've been blessed with as a musician is my ability to, well, and this comes from having my own bands and being musical leaders in other bands. It's something that I've always naturally felt, and it's like I hear everything that's going on stage. I mean, every last thing. I see the whole court, and I'm really, when something's going wrong, if something's going wrong with a member of the band, where maybe we're we're not emphasizing the chord we need to, then I need to shift from playing lines to like, okay, what can I do to reinforce this chord for Cliff that he, it's so I'm really listening and trying to adapt and adjust to any situation that comes up. And I've done the music side of it for so long. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about something appropriate coming out, because a lot of what I do is, is improvisational,
right.
just listening to what's going on. And I have some things that I've worked out for Cliff's songs, but a lot of times I try different things and just try to be in the moment more than anything. But I think that the comfort with, you're probably picking up on that thing of, I'm kind of babysitting the situation along with everything else. You know what I mean? Or trying to be the best team member that I possibly can. I'm not worried about playing lights out on the fiddle. But I want Cliff's band to sound good. So however I can do that, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, but I'm sure you do that with everybody you play with.
I do. But there's some people I want to help more than others.
Amen.
I love Cliff Miller, and I do bring that spirit to Cliff's gigs, and we kind of joke, every once in a while there can be that bad gig where not anything to do with the band, but the people you're working for or something like that. And there's been times recently when we've been over in Jackson playing some wedding. We did a lot of those this fall, obviously, but where you're dealing with like a wedding planner, you don't want to.
Right.
Yeah. And I have to remember, okay, this is Cliff's deal. I got to watch my P's and Q's. Because if it was just mine, I think I'd go ahead and let them know what I thought.
Yeah, exactly. Well, for me, the better I know a song, the more freedom I seem to have. And there's definitely a comfort for me knowing a song inside and out, but not just knowing what my part is, but I might not know technically what everybody else is supposed to be playing, but I can tell you when something's not right.
Mm-hmm.
And our good friend Alfred Deverona, I was playing a show with him once with a different group, and we were on a break, and he goes, "Fred Fisher, you hear all my bad notes." And I said, "I'm not sure I hear all of them." And he and I rib each other with that stuff all the time.
I'll tell you what, there's another great musician.
Yeah.
I love playing with Alf, and I think that I just, I love his guitar playing too. For what little I've got to hear of it, but what a great spirit and what a great entertainer and great musician. And we got to play, the four of us got to play together for the first time, and we figured over a couple of years.
Was that because we just played up in McCall, the four of us, didn't we?
Yeah.
I have in my mind like the four of us are together more than that, but I guess not.
I know. That's I was thinking that too. I said, "Has it been?"
I guess you didn't.
And then Alf said,
gig, huh?
"What's that?"
I was thinking he was at that last Sapphire gig, but I think that was McKilla.
I think
no.
McKilla
I was. I
think Matt played maybe the one before. There was one of them that Matt played.
There was one with Matt and McKilla and Alf. I think, or unless it was.
But that was a few years ago.
Was that with Alf, or was it with
Laney?
No, bass.
Mark?
No, I think
Mark on bass.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's so many different iterations of the band.
And I remember when Cliff first talked to me about being in the band, and I was in a situation where I wasn't going to be in town,
right,
dependably. And I remember telling him way back then, this is a long time ago. This is maybe 2009 or 10. Maybe I've been playing with longer than I said, but I told him, I said, "Man, you need to get a lot of people involved in this, because you're going to run into, the best situations I've seen. It'd be great if you could get 4 guys and keep them together.
Yeah.
But realistically, I've seen this rodeo before.
Yeah.
And the best thing for you to do is to get a lot of people at every position to be able to adapt when people can't do gigs and when, whatever happens,
Yeah.
And so I think he's done a better job than most bands do at that, as far as curating at least some extra people to be part of the program, and of course, I don't consider myself the main fiddle player with Cliff Miller. I mean,
neither
Michaela
do I. I don't
and
consider
Lainey,
myself the main fiddle player.
Michaela and Lainey and Luke, and those are all fun because they've all been people that I've worked with,
right?
And so that's so cool to be doing that with them.
Well, so well, hang on. I have a discussion I want to have, but I want to catch up on a couple comments here real quick. So Thomas Schuster, he's one of my students. He said, ever since I started taking drum lessons with Fred, I feel like I hear music differently now. I hear the time.
Mm-hmm.
You were mentioning like you could be sitting in a restaurant and you hear the 1, the 4, the 5. Like your mind just immediately kind of.
Or if something shifts to 7/8, all of a sudden I'll notice that too.
Yeah, right.
Or 13/8.
I think it's hard maybe hard isn't the right word, but I think musicians just hear things differently, and we all kind of like zone in on little different specifics in music. My students ask me all the time, like, what do you listen to? And I'm like, nothing. Like, I feel like I don't listen to music for the enjoyment of listening to music very much anymore. It's pretty rare that I have the opportunity or left alone long enough to even make it through one song, without some interruption happening.
Well, I think that's why the kids walk around with earbuds in.
Probably so.
They can listen to music.
Maybe I should walk around with earbuds in and just ignore everything else around me. But yeah, like for me, obviously I'm going to listen to drums first, but I listen to the drum and bass relationship, and then what's happening melodically, and then lyrics and instrumentation, everything that goes along with it. And now that we have our own recording studio, I'm like listening to different production things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, that was a really cool effect that they did. And so it's like this deconstruction, analyzing process that's going on when I listen to music all the time. Do you feel that same way?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's always I'm taking apart the machine.
Right.
So I had to, so much of my teaching career was somebody coming in and saying, I've got this favorite song by so and so, and so just dialing it up on the internet and hearing it for the first time and going, okay, what's here? What's the chord? Okay, let's learn it.
Same.
So that's when you're trained to look at it analytically and try to distill the important information that quickly. I think that's just the natural part of the process.
Yeah. I think it's fun as a teacher to get somebody started and they can play a few basic drum beats and kind of make their way around the drum kit a little bit, and then immediately go, okay, well, let's apply that to a song. Let's start learning songs. And like, oh, just the excitement that they have over that. But yeah, same thing. It's like they'll walk in now that they have some kind of skill set, and they're like, I want to learn this song by whoever, and then you're like analyzing the whole thing, right? Trying to get them to get in that same headspace. All right, Babs Nicholson. You're making me laugh. I'm having trouble with my sound this morning. I'm going to... Of course you are. I'm going to have to go back and listen and watch the recording when this is all over so I can tell what all you've covered this morning. I hate to miss it. Gary Tackett is here. Seal says the key of F is the brown noise. Now that sparks a memory I had about brown noise. I bet if you did a quick little Google
search. Is that anything like Code Brown?
I don't think so.
Well, I asked if he could elaborate.
Oh.
He said it was a South Park reference.
Oh, okay.
The kids on the show
were trying to hit the noise that makes up pop, or just
makes
listen
you
to
poop.
Oh,
or just listen to Blake Shelton.
No, there's an actual music thing that's referred to as the brown noise.
This is a new one on me.
And I think I want to say that I saw this in some kind of a YouTube video about recording. This probably was like in this, who would know probably immediately is Scott Alexander.
Well, do you want me to read it to you?
Oh, do you have it?
Brown noise is an ambient sound with a much deeper, lower frequency sound than white or pink noise. It emphasizes low frequencies and is often described as a low frequency rumble, like that of a strong waterfall, heavy rainfall, or distant thunder. Many people use it to help improve sleep, focus, and reduce anxiety.
Huh. Yeah, so I think that I would just be guessing at what I watched. I'm pretty sure it was a YouTube video, but they talked about the brown noise.
Yeah, so examples are roaring river rapids or strong waterfalls, heavy rainfall or a strong shower, rumbling thunder, the sound of a strong wind, or the hum of an air conditioner or airplane engine. So deep, a lower pitch. Yeah.
Does that make sense with the key of F?
For me, the key of E is brown.
Okay.
But and that's the only one that's
if it's
not
brown, flush it down.
E is always feels real earthy to me, and I finally figured out that association is that it's very grounded and very
okay.
That must be where that association comes from. But so I was thinking right when they said F is brown, I thought, well, oh wow, because I've never known if that has any but I know E is only one half step away from F,
right?
Yeah.
So
well, I'm pretty sure I saw a video of a YouTube video of some recording process, and I want to say it was probably early 70s, but they were after that brown noise, and it was I'm pretty sure it was in reference to how they were miking a guitar cabinet, but I don't remember it being related to a specific key. But Brian Hoyt is here. Good morning, Brian.
Van Halen's brown sound.
Van Halen's brown sound.
Can
so Greg is also
Greg?
A studio engineer, so he may have a insight on that. Seal says most mechanics don't go home and work on their car. I play and work on music for goodness and pleasure. I help put people back together
for work,
but music does a lot of that for me. Okay. It's bass.
Greg says in musical psychology, we studied the psychological effects of different keys on control groups.
Seal says
That's
E is tinny.
Or maybe tiny.
Or tiny.
Tiny or
King Edward and brown sound is all I can recall, says Brian Hoyt. Well, it's an interesting thing. Now, I think we should all assign ourselves some homework here and go research brown sound.
There's so many jokes there. I mean that's
okay. So if you and I and Alf were riding along on a road trip,
I know
this would go in the ditch pretty easy.
Yeah,
it would go in the ditch pretty easy.
Ditches are brown too.
It is. So, what'd you say?
I said probably like the South Park reference. That's where
right. Yeah, exactly. Somebody on South Park probably heard this reference of brown sound, and their mind just went exactly where everybody else's just went. Like
it makes you poop.
So going back a little bit, you talking about Cliff needing a stable of musicians because you spent a fair amount of time traveling and doing clinics and different teaching things. I want to say Berkeley is involved in some of that. And can you expand on that a little bit?
Well, are you talking about the things I do outside of working with Cliff?
Yeah. I mean, you have an extensive career for sure.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's a lot of other playing gigs, that I'm involved with. And some of them are, I can't even, like I think I told you about being down there on Catalina Island a few weeks ago. They ferried a bunch of horses over there and they had a big, ride. And we were there for 2 or 3 days entertaining those guys, so it's like, you can't, when people say, what'd you do? I can't even really explain, but a lot, some events like that, some of the playing gigs can be really unique like that. And they're worth,
sure. Yeah.
Going to,
you're gonna pay the bills.
So, right. So, you got that and you got the workshops and the and the music camps that I work at. Last year about this time I did one down in Reno that was really cool. But I work at one in California every year around Mount Shasta. I'm teaching at one this year down in close to Austin, Texas. It's called the Live Oak Fiddle Camp. But the a really good friend of mine, the fiddle player with Billy Strings, Alex Hargraves, is going to be one of the other teachers for that. It's a great teaching lineup for that camp this year. And so a lot of that type of stuff. And then I've got some other folks that I play with around town. Rob Harding is a really, really great friend that I play swing and jazz with and have over the years, trying to think don't play much with him now, but played for a long time with Bruce Alkire and his Cajun band. Mm-hmm. And then I do right now, I have a very good friend, Dan Seibel. He's a great musician, and he was doing the care home gigs, and I heard about it a few years ago, and I said, hey, I'd like to get in on that with you, and because I knew it was at a certain, they're usually in the middle of the day, and in the middle of the week, they're not going to get in the way of anything. And I wanted to get into doing more service work. And when I started out as a musician started playing the fiddle specifically over in Pocatello when I was a kid, those were the first gigs, is going to play the rest homes,
Yeah.
And didn't like it much back then.
Sure.
It smelled bad. But they've changed, ladies and gentlemen. No, I love it. You talk about the best audiences in the world. So I mean, when I'm here in Boise, sometimes doing 2 or 3 of those a week, and just, it's probably the most important gigs that I play, just, and you leave, those people don't want you to leave,
Right.
It's just, and Dan is a great musician. He's originally from the Bay Area and grew up playing rock and roll, and so we know a lot of the same stuff, but he's got he does old songs from musicals. He tries to hit, old country stuff, old rock and roll, try to hit a lot of stuff from what would be these people's childhood. Mm-hmm. You know what I found out is the most popular these days?
What's that?
Elvis.
Oh yeah.
Elvis is probably, but the Beatles and the Beach Boys are right there too, because think about the people that are in the care homes right now. They're people like my mom, who's 80 years old, who bought those Beach Boy records when she was in high school and college.
Right. Yeah.
And now she's that age. Right. And so it's like, we're finally, we could play Jumpin' Jack Flash at the rest home now.
Yeah.
I
I just said a second ago, it's like, eventually it'll be Metallica.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Creeping Death and
Nothing else
For Whom the
matters.
Bell Tolls. those are some heavy lyrics for
Jane's Addiction.
people in their twilight years in the rest homes or whatever.
It's kind of funny to think about it that way.
It is. It
well,
is.
I mean, with the 80s music, like I always just go right. If I'm like having a bad day, I'm putting on that. I'm not putting on anything that's current. I'm not putting anything from the 2000s, 2010s. It's like
the music of your youth
to 80s music.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like a nice warm blanket.
Yeah. Yeah. I bring this up because I want to know like your thought process in preparation. So you did a stint of touring with Asleep at the Wheel,
mm-hmm.
and you had that opportunity. And I know right before you left to play with that group, mm-hmm. the amount of urgency and the timeline to learn this ridiculous amount of music.
Mm-hmm. And you have to have it memorized. There's no charts on stage.
There's no
anything.
iPads or phones to lead the way, right? You had to have it all here.
Well, that's what they wanted. They wanted,
right.
So but I was with them for a whole year from all of 2023, and I can't remember the number of gigs. The number of gigs was somewhere in the 90 range, but we were on the road for like 180. Like was counting the days we were actually out on the bus.
So basically every other day.
So about half the year, and it was an incredible time. And when I was not expecting that email when I got it, and I remember it was the first gig was, from the time I got the email, was about a month and a half, but I think they sent me all the files for the learning the music about a month before the first gig.
Wow.
And there were about 80 tunes.
Wow.
And I had to get into practice mode like I haven't done since I was a teenager. I had to, because I had to get a big whiteboard and chart off. Like, was talking to a guy just yesterday about this, and one of my guys that subscribed to the website, and I was saying, I had to get everything up on a board, and like, okay, this one is about at a 5 right now, and it's got to be at least at an 8. I want to get everything to a 9 or a 10. But there were so many songs and so many parts. There were a lot with Asleep at the Wheel. There's a lot of arranged parts, the stuff that I was playing with the horn players, so a lot of that stuff, and I just had to memorize it all. Yeah. And then the fun thing was, sometimes they'd have another fiddle player come in, and we'd have to play twin fiddles, and in those cases I had to go from playing the main part to playing the harmony part, and sometimes I wouldn't know till right before, we've got so and so is going to come in and play, but wow, God, I got to do all the harmony parts now.
So you just prepare for
that.
Like, there's no prep for that, right? Other than the mastery of your instrument, to allow you to be able to do that,
right? And just so many years of teaching and working on that stuff. I mean, and then you got to, just having the knowing it all, and then getting up there on some of those stages and in front of some of those crowds. We were, played Willie Nelson's 4th of July picnic. That was so cool. That gig was one of the cooler ones, of course, but I remember watching, I think, what was the first one on HBO when I was a kid, and I saw Willie come out with that rainbow strap, and I remember we were living in Pocatello on Meadowbrook Street, and I remember saying, man, how cool is that? And to know that 50 years later, I would be playing the 50th anniversary of that event I saw as a child. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's your Ed Sullivan show. That's pretty awesome. I ask these questions because I think they're interesting for one, but I think there's a lot of mindset stuff into being a successful musician. When, like Seal was talking about, I work on cars during the day, and then music's just the thing I do for fun, which is totally fine. Mm-hmm. But some people want to have a career in music, or to have that their main thing, but sometimes they lack either knowing how to make that happen, or they just have this attitude that they get in their own way about. But some people want to know, how'd you get that gig? Like, how did you get the gig with the Sleep at the Wheel? Like, what were the things that were in motion, or that you had done this work in the past that made your name come up in the conversation to begin with? Like, you have
I've been all
relationships,
all those fiddle titles.
Yeah.
It was, that's number one. I mean, that's not everybody has the resume that I have in that contest world, and it sounds pretty impressive.
Sure.
I mean that, but then also connections within ultimately the way I got that job, I had no idea, but it was through a referral. It was through somebody else and they had mentioned that I would be a good guy for the job.
Yeah.
So that's
nice.
But that's the way, I'm lucky enough in my career. That's the way I get most of everything. I kind of put myself in that position to where when people have these things like these fiddle camps and workshops that focuses on that type of music that I'm a specialist in, I'm going to be one of the first people they call. I know that.
Yeah. Well, so then you get this opportunity, and they say, here, learn all of this mountain of material. And did you go through that process like in a mathematical way, where you say, okay, I got to learn 15 songs a week, or
No,
20 songs a week or whatever that adds up to?
You couldn't get into it. I had to, they told me what the most important ones were.
Okay.
You know, so I got 25 of the, you know, and those were the ones I really focused on. But as I got those, I wanted to do an excellent job. You know, I was a huge Asleep at the Wheel fan when I was younger, you know, when they were more in their heyday, obviously. And it was, you know, I was so shocked when just getting the email, you know, wasn't expecting, you know, that to happen. And more than anything, more than the accolades that came along with that or anything, I just wanted to do a good job.
Yeah.
I wanted to, like, okay, here's this opportunity. I want to really do a good job. So it's just like, as soon as I got done solidifying the 25 most important, I was on to everything. I can show you the journals. I mean, there's just journals where I've got everything written down, and they're line, you know, there's check marks and X's and you know, then I've got journals where it says, okay, you need to work on this section of this particular tune more or you need to work on your solo for this one or whatever, you know, that it's 2 or 3 notebooks full of stuff.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it. I recently did this show. Well, I guess it's been a month ago now. I had about an 8-day notice to go fill in with
you told me with John.
No, with the Guns N' Roses tribute band. Okay. But yeah, I did the John Nemeth. Yeah, I did that the week before.
Okay, gotcha.
But I had to learn 15 songs in a week and go, no rehearsal, no nothing, and play a show with people I never even met, which I met the singer after the gig because he wasn't traveling with the rest of the band.
Right.
But like you, I wanted to do a really good job, you know, and it wasn't 80 songs, it was 15. But nonetheless, it's like people are asking, like, well, how do you do that? I'm like, I want to do that. I want to do a good job. I want them to feel comfortable on stage.
Yeah.
Like they at least, I want to at least, you know, make them not worry the whole gig. Like, oh, what's going to happen in the next 5 seconds? And then to be asked back. Right. Yeah. It's like, you did all this work and now here you are. And I too, I would start charting out, you know, the form of the song and if I had to make detailed notes on like a very specific drum fill or something, I might write that out so I'd know, okay, this is for sure what I have to play. And just start ingraining that over and over and over and over. But yeah, and the John Nemeth thing too. Do you know John?
Yeah.
See, I never met him before, and he lives in Memphis now, and I didn't know anything about him. I know more about him because of what you told me.
Well, no, and I knew him I met him way back in the 90s, and actually I met him through Pinto Bennett.
Okay.
Pinto Bennett, I don't know if there was a bass. I can't remember. They came out and they bought a bass, a stand-up bass from me for some project they were doing.
When you had your music store?
Yeah.
I think that's really cool to be able to commit that much music to memory. Where I've been really critical. I mean, every band can just do whatever they want, you know. And it's fine. I just think it's interesting. Like I'm not going to get hung up on that. Beating the dead horse.
Are we going to bring up shoes too? What shoes did you wear?
Oh, you had to bring up the shoes. I was waiting for Harrison to do that.
Oh, sorry, James. I beat you.
James says that Sleep at the Wheel is one of those bands that has a very unique feel to their music.
Yeah, Western swing. You know, that's the, you know, jazz and a cowboy hat is what it is. You know,
I have to listen. I'm not sure if I'm familiar with their music, so I'll have to listen.
Yeah, they've been. He started that band in 1970. They have 11 Grammys.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they're in the country genre, or
they're gonna be found through. They're not a country band. They're more of a Western swing band or a you know. But they're so it's a niche genre.
Okay.
Greg flip flops and cargo shorts. Greg just did it for me. You mentioned earlier this Beach Boys influence, and I've never been to your house. I mean, not inside, just like picking you up on a road trip or something, but you have a whole dedicated space to Beach Boys.
900 and some square feet.
Wow. You got a Beach Boys museum.
Yeah, I've been working on the collection since I was 3 years old.
Yeah,
and it's cool because I have stuff from that early, and my mom has pictures I drew of them when I was 7. And I've still got all that stuff. You know? So it's really cool. But I've got some really neat things over the years, and I've met some of them, and of course, I had my Beach Boy podcast for 3 years. And we still do some Beach Boy related stuff. And we have a Beach Boys YouTube channel. I think it's called the Beach Boys Beat right now. We tried Beach Boys Hangout, but I didn't like the way that sounded, and we wanted to, because we stopped the podcast part of it, we wanted to not call it, or I'm not really sure. I think that it just became, we would just, but if people want to see that Beach Boys they can find it by going to the Beach Boys Beat, I think is what it would be.
Yeah, it is. I found it.
Can you put that in the comments, Mary?
And then there's a YouTube channel associated with the teaching site that's just called Matthew Hartz Music, and that focuses on that's got a bunch of shorts and a bunch of partial kind of sample lessons from the website that he's working on to draw attention to the website. But there's 2 YouTube channels. There's the Beach Boys Beat, and then there's Matthew Hartz Music.
Okay. I started watching a few of your videos about the Beach Boys and talking about some of the music complexities of the chord structures. And it's really, really interesting and very well put together. And
that's Adam.
Cool.
Adam, I wouldn't have ever been able to do it. Adam is my Mary.
Okay,
for sure. Adam is an amazing business partner, and just I've things like the teaching website. I've done some things like this before, but I always wanted to do it more my way, but I could never handle the technical side of things. Couldn't be, and to run into him and for him to have the passion for everything that he's had. And we've worked together now, and not just on the Beach Boys stuff, but now on the Fiddle instruction website and tons of other things. He's been the best guy I've ever worked with. And he's done so much to help me with my career in my later years.
Yeah. Yeah. I've looked at your teaching website, and that it's like, oh, I could probably borrow those ideas for my own. It's really great stuff. But so in addition to the Beach Boys, some people might be surprised about your love for Kiss.
Well, Kiss and, Mary says the 80s music, that's a warm hug for me too. I mean, I literally love all of that. I'm a musical omnivore. I mean, when we talk about the 80s and bands like Tears for Fears, or I can't even start going into them all because I want to talk about all of them, but no, right when I was in the 3rd grade, we had a cousin move in with us and was working with my dad, and he was about 10 years older than me, but he had an 8-track of Kiss Alive, the first live record. And that was my introduction to them. And it was not long before I was buying Kiss records. I was enamored by that whole, I was lucky enough to be in the kind of heat of the moment. Right.
Sure. Yeah.
But was able to find things I loved musically about it too. But it was more of that phenomenon of what's cool is when you're a kid. Right.
Right.
Well, I got heavily into AC/DC. I got into Rush. I got into, those are just a few bands, but those were all things that I really got into, so, but the Kiss thing it became, not just for the music, but because of all the other phenomenons around it. And I've got quite a big Kiss collection too. That I've been thinking I don't have any place to put it, and that's something I need to think about selling on the internet or something like that.
Right.
But I do love and I do feel like they are so overlooked for their music, not throughout their whole career, but the first few albums when they spent all their good tunes that they had written.
Yeah.
Were really great rock and roll, early rock and roll records. They didn't sell well in their time, you know. It was, but Alive had to come out before they got really popular, and then people started going back and looking at those early albums. But I am a big Kiss fan, and my favorite was Ace, and Ace passed away recently, and rest in peace. I mean, so I got a Les Paul, and I still to this day will learn Ace Frehley solos, off Kiss records.
Yeah.
It's just something that resonates within me.
Yeah.
I do. I'm a big Kiss fan.
You pointed out when you first got here, when you came in, you're like, oh, there's a picture with you and Bill Aucoin.
Yeah. And the Kiss's manager, the guy that without Bill Aucoin, Kiss might not exist.
No. And so with Midline, we worked with them for a few years, doing stuff.
And you had told me this several years ago, and I go, wow, that's cool, man.
Well, it's just interesting because you could be like, we worked with him when we'd get him into town and work on stuff. And then we did a tour that he was with us. He was with us when we did the Motley Crue shows. And thankfully, the whole opening for Motley Crue thing, there was like all this behind the scenes drama going on with that. And thankfully, Bill was there to help navigate all of that stuff. Because I think had he not been there, we would have just.
Well, you're getting walked all over.
We were not treated well, and so Bill was able to save the day with those
I wish
shows.
People could see that situation too. It's like people think if you're opening for somebody that you get to hang out, you might not ever see them,
right?
A lot of times when I was with the Wheel, we'd pull up to a festival and be parked right next to one of the other guys' buses, and you'd think, you never see it, you're gonna see them when they hit the stage,
exactly.
But that's about it.
Well, a lot of times when you're the opening band, at least in our experience, it was like you're the inconvenience of the day.
Oh yeah.
And they have to put up with you or whatever. Well, then sometimes they discover, oh, you're on a few dates with us on this thing. Oh, I guess we'll be a little bit nicer. But yeah, thankfully Bill was there. And then we did a tour with Bill, and it was just, not only was it a unique experience for us in helping our band, but just the Kiss stories that we heard, because you're passing time like we do, when you're traveling and you start just talking about anything and everything. And it was really, not everybody gets that unique opportunity to get a peek behind the curtain.
Yeah. Some of my favorite things to listen to on the internet are when I don't know if Bill Aucoin's reading his own book, because I think he did write a book or at least contributed to one, but listening to him tell those Kiss stories in his voice,
right?
And you talk about managing some drama,
right?
I mean, by the time they hit the 1976 or 1970, they hated each other.
Yeah,
they literally didn't.
I around the time that we worked with Bill, he was on the cover of Forbes magazine. Oh, wow. And so I have that magazine in my archives, but Bill's on the cover of Forbes magazine, and he's holding a giant Gene Simmons puppet as a jab at Gene Simmons, like, no matter what, you're always going to be my puppet, kind of a thing. So there was always this underlying tension between Bill and the band. And that was a thing for, I remember Bill telling me like, that's just my way of getting back at Gene. He's my puppet. It's got a very unique voice. Very unique voice. Murphy? Let's see. I wanted to know, well, you used to have a music store, Matt. Hartz Music. That was in Meridian.
Well, it actually
was it in Meridian?
Yes, and at the end it was. We had pretty big operation out there. We had at the height of it, We had 2 buildings out there. I had a 3-story Victorian house out there that was the main store, and then we had a big house next door that the big studio, we finally built it in there. But in its heyday, right around 2004 or 5, and I wasn't teaching. I had 32 teachers working for me, and we were running 650 students in that thing a week.
Wow. I had no idea.
And
that's impressive.
Then we had a huge rental program, which I was, servicing a lot of the Meridian, especially Meridian and Eagle area orchestras, and providing not only rental instruments, but I won a couple of school bids where I had to actually buy cellos and set them up and take them and deliver them to the schools and all that other stuff, and that. But yeah, that was a whole different part of my life. And people say, well, I'll bet that was fun. I said, yeah, I never want to own a music store again in my life. Ever,
so what are the pros and cons?
Ever.
It's hard to be in business for yourself.
Well, you can't, and I don't think you could really do it in this day and age. I had 2 full-time managers back then. I rarely had to deal with the sales floor, but we had to, when you have that many students, it drives the retail, you know what I mean? And so the retail was the biggest part of the operation. Yeah. And I didn't have much to do with that at all. As a matter of fact, they said unless it was a violin that they needed my expertise on or something like that, they didn't really want me on the sales floor, because I said prices always came down when I hit the sales floor. We've got jobs.
The soft side of Matt would show up.
Well, yeah. I wanted people to get a good deal, but I was always prone to go to that good deal way too quick.
Yeah, because you're in the business to make money.
Yeah, and I was at that point, I was just because I have my degree in management and accounting, and so I was just the administrator.
Oh gosh,
I did all the payroll and all that stuff.
I never went into the store because in my mind it was always geared towards like orchestral instruments. And
was it only orchestral instruments, or
no? We were with violins and guitars mainly, but we had drum teachers. Lewis worked for me out there. It was, as far as the teaching stuff, it was all. I mean, we had piano, percussion, all the string instruments, everything. I mean, we covered all the bases, but as far as retail goes, it was mainly violins and guitars, but we had lots of instructional, sold a lot of books, Your profit margins are in the smalls, like so shoulder rests, rosin for the violin, and stuff. So it's like, once you get a volume and you start selling a lot of those items, that's where your margins are.
Well, what were the pros and what were the cons of having your music store?
Oh, the cons were, my little sister passed away in 2007, and that's what she in a car wreck, so overnight lost her. Sorry. But that event turned my life around, not for the better right at that point, but it made me realize how much time I was spending chasing money. And being, chasing this thing of being a success in whatever I was doing. And I was spending, even though I wasn't teaching, I was spending 14 hours a day there.
Wow.
And it was just an endless cycle, it was, and yes, we were doing well. We were, money wasn't an issue back in those days, but I wasn't very happy. And when my little sister passed away, I realized that, wow, this is not what I want to do. This is, I don't want to spend all my time doing payroll and tax reports and doing all that, and every, or whatever it was. And it's a lot of stress and some, like I remember, I was also investing in quite a bit of real estate at that time. I had the 3 parcels there on Meridian Road, and then had some property up on top of Horseshoe Bend Hill we were going to build on. And I remember when you get to a level of, like I remember it was just about $32,000 in mortgages, or it was not mortgage, about 10,000 in mortgages, and then an extra 20 to crack the nut every month.
Wow.
Break even.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And so it just gets, it was a big anchor around my neck.
Sure.
And I'm glad that I had the experience, but I would never do it again.
That sounds like a big con.
Well, what were the pros? What did you?
We made a lot of money.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We and that was probably, those were my biggest years as far as income, for sure. And it was neat to start a grassroots kind of mom and pop music store and have it build into. So we started it in Texas when we were both in college, my first wife and I, and then we moved it up here to Idaho when she graduated from school, and we came up here to BSU so she could do her graduate work, and just decided to move the operation up. And we started with a little store up on Overland, and then moved it down to the Fairview Square right across from where Dad is.
Where was it on Overland?
Up the Vista intersection, close to just a little bit east of that, and a little building that had several businesses in it. Okay. And then we moved it down to the Fairview Square, and then I moved it out to Main Street in Meridian, rented a location right in the middle of Main Street. I'm trying to give people a landmark on that, but it wasn't too long, and that Victorian came available to buy in like 96 or 97. Was that behind
like the Albertsons?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I remember seeing that.
That's the one that we ended up with, but I bought those properties, and then just started going from there. And then it was 2009 when we shut down.
I think you briefly mentioned it'd be really hard to start a music store now because so much stuff is online.
Yeah, you could. Ed, I don't see how anybody would ever go into it and think they were going to make money. I've seen some small music stores out there still when I travel around, and it just like, man, I know this show. This has to be some sort of a hobby for this dude, or he's got some other money coming in some other place.
There's a music store that it's not new. It's been around forever. I want to say it's like Telford and Sons or something like that. They've been in that little place for like forever, haven't they?
Many years. Yeah.
Are you talking about off at Orchard?
Yep.
Is it off at Orchard?
Yeah. A little street called Gage Street.
Yeah. It used to be like on the corner, and then they moved further up the street. Yeah.
And there was a music store. I don't even know if it's still there. It was in Meridian, but it's kind of hidden back into like a this business building, but it's more like industrial type stuff. You and I went there once, producer, to get guitar strings, and they weren't open yet.
Oh, are you talking off of Franklin?
Yeah.
That's that Eagle guitar or whatever.
Yeah, does that still exist?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think we were out driving around, and I wanted to go check it out because I'd never been there, and they were supposed to be open and they weren't.
Yeah.
Like, what the
heck? For me, like I don't go to music stores very often unless I really need something in an emergency. So I just buy stuff on. I don't mean to.
Well, you get stuff directly because you have.
Well, with my endorsement stuff, yeah, like I get my sticks and heads and some other stuff just directly from the manufacturer now, but and keep stocked up on that. But yeah, I'll go into Guitar Center every once in a while to pick up something, or Window Shop or Dorsey Music for you drummers out there. They have up in the drum department. If you're looking for pieces and parts to your drum gear that's missing, they have like 4 or 5 tackle boxes full of drum parts. Yeah, and I've gone and rummaged through those a few times and went, that's exactly what I need. So that's a great resource for sure.
And there's 12th fret.
Oh yeah, 12th fret music.
Down on.
Have you been to 12th fret music?
I don't think so.
Do you know where the FedEx is or was on Capitol?
Yeah, by the library.
Yeah, it's in that. He's in that.
Yes, I've heard. I haven't been down there yet.
He used to be on Broadway, and then he moved over there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's Rob Ridgway's store.
I got my guitar from him.
I got your guitar from him.
We got my guitar.
I bought Mary a new acoustic guitar for Mother's Day one year. How many years ago has it been now?
I want to say 2017.
Okay, probably. But Mary likes to track me and find out where I am. And this is back when I was still landscaping, right? Mm-hmm. So she would do the Find My iPhone thing.
It wasn't that I was trying to be nosy. It was I was wanting to know if you were on your way home or
right.
Like, are you done working?
She could tell if I was in the drive-thru at Dutch Brothers, and I would just get this text message, "Bring me one," because she was keeping tabs on me.
Oh my gosh! Don't say I was keeping tabs.
Oh, you were keeping tabs.
Like that.
So I wanted to get her a new guitar. The guitar that she had was okay, but it just didn't sound super great. And I thought, yeah, Mary deserves something that's much nicer quality and sounding.
Well, I always wanted a Taylor.
So we went to 12th fret music and kind of window shopped, and I was paying attention to the one or two that she kept hovering over. And I thought, okay, well, so then I was still in my landscaping days, so I shut my phone off and I left it at the property I was working on, left it there, took my cash because I had to squirrel away some cash so she wouldn't see money come out of the bank account, right? And I went in and I bought this guitar for her. And then this is when we were still playing at church regularly. So I took her old guitar out of the case and put the new one in it. And then I put the old guitar in another case and kind of hid it in the back of the Suburban so that she wouldn't see it. Mm-hmm. And so when we got there and got ready to play, she opened up the case and there's this brand new guitar. I brought the old one just in case there was a problem with the new one. Like, you got the backup ready to go. And that was a fun little moment.
Yeah. I was so confused because I was like, what? Whose guitar is it? I was so confused. I didn't know what was going on. And everybody's like looking and other people are confused because I don't think everybody knew. They're like, what's going on? Because they knew my guitar was blue.
Yeah.
And this is a natural wood.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Let's see if we're missing any comments here.
No, I think.
Oh, we got.
I think we're pretty current. Flip flops and cargo shorts.
Oh yeah, that's Greg making sure that got said.
Did you have a dress code for stage when you played with them?
With Sleep at the Wheel?
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, you did. I mean, you had to be. It was within a certain thing, but I mean, they gave me a list of stuff before I went that said, need you to have some pearl snap Western shirts. They wanted some dark boots and light boots, dark boots and dark pants, light pants. And didn't have to wear a cowboy hat. I found out it was more flexible as I went along. Before it. So, but there was, I guess I wouldn't. I mean, the other guys wouldn't say there's a dress code at all. So but I did. I tried because I was kind of up front with Ray. And so it's a pretty big band, sometimes we had 9 pieces. But so I felt like I had to look Western, had to play that part again, which I man, me, I still complain about, I'll wear cowboy boots every once in a while with Cliff, but I've got to the point where it's just, you know what? I'm done being a cowboy for the most part, because the pants aren't comfortable, the boots aren't comfortable, and I don't necessarily like wearing a cowboy hat. That's hot,
Yeah.
Especially that felt hat.
Well, I got to tell our audience out there. So right before the COVID shutdown happened, you and I and Cliff and Alf were in Elko, Nevada.
Yeah, well, that was right. We came home to a whole different world.
We did.
Yeah.
We came home to so everything looks so deserted. But I don't know if we played 3 or 4 nights in a row down there. But
that was fun. God, that was a blast.
So this casino that we played in Elko, they had the main.
It was the Red Lion, wasn't it?
I think so.
It was the Red Lion. It wasn't down. It wasn't one of the downtown casinos. It was out by the freeway.
Yeah. And so now I had car problems on the way there, so that was a big distraction for my. I just basically took my paycheck and gave it to the guys at the mechanic shop to fix my car. And I had 3 of my boys with me who became refugees in a hotel room while Dad dealt with this car for days. But we'd play these gigs, and our hotel rooms were clear.
It seemed like I was telling you the other day. It seemed like it was 4 or 5 football fields
away
from where we.
And Matt's wearing some pretty stiff cowboy boots.
I thought
I was going to have to carry you home.
Hey, I just had those things up. I finally put them on Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, did you?
Because I've been hanging on to them. Their size. I finally got to looking at them. I wear a 10.5 now.
Uh-huh.
Those things are 9.5.
Oh,
and so I was squeezing my feet into those things. But I love, they're beautiful boots.
Yeah.
They're ostrich boots, and Donetta got them for me when we were first married in like the 90s down in Texas. And so, but I remember I thought I hadn't worn those boots in a long time, and I thought they're tight, but I can make it, And man, I a couple of times walking from the room just to the room where we had a little green room behind the stage that we go and rehearse I just like a couple times, I'm sure I can't walk anymore. You and I sitting having breakfast. I said, I can't wait to get out of these boots, man. I can't, they're beating me up bad.
Well, I know you were in pain, and, but it's fun to laugh at people in pain sometimes. You and I have done so many gigs together and traveled, and it's always so fun. And I think that you're a great storyteller. It's just
you too.
I just want to listen to Matthew Hartz stories all day long.
Well, we were going to talk about the Beach Boys more, I thought.
We could talk about the Beach Boys more. You have more questions, Mrs. Producer?
About some stuff, and you said share that for when we go live, and then
I can't even remember what we were talking about.
I thought we talked
about your video that went viral. And
yeah.
So give us you love the Beach Boys. It was California Girls that you said.
It's gonna. If I were to tell that whole story, we'd be here for hours. But what I can fast forward to is we have my podcast, and we've been doing it for 3 years, and we shut that down about a year ago. A little over a year ago, but we've been doing, obviously Brian Wilson passed away this last summer too. And so we did a special episode for that. We've done a couple of special episodes, but what he started doing was producing a shorts campaign to keep interest up. And so that takes no effort from me. He just goes back to old episodes from the podcast and takes moments from them and makes shorts out of them. He's doing a great job on it.
And where do we find the podcast?
That's the podcast is on the Beach Boys Beat too. You'll find that listed in there. But so anyway, he had, with the shorts campaign, he was just trying to keep the interest up, and so this last summer, some of them started gaining some traction. We started getting we did a short about good vibrations that when he released it that morning, it was doing so good. He goes, this one might hit 10K. I still remind him of this. And it ended up, that one in particular hit about 20 within the first week. It was like, we've never had anything like that happen, and everything. And so, but a couple more weeks went along, and they were doing kind of like the same sort of performance, right? But when we were getting a lot of subscribers, but they weren't watching our long form content. They were just scrolling through the shorts. And so we were deciding what kind of quality is this subscriber that we're getting out of this campaign? And so I would kind of become a little uncomfortable with parts of it, because he was cutting these things up from episodes, and it would take things out of context. So people would think I was saying things that I wasn't, or didn't, the explanation wasn't there along with it. And so that I was getting some haters out there, whatever, So, and I didn't feel like I had much control. And so I was just like, God, do we really need to do this? And he's going, you know what? I was kind of thinking the same thing. And so we had a meeting over at my place in the Beach Boys Sanctuary, and we had decided to quit the shorts campaign, right? He goes, I got one more. He says, I thought maybe since I got it already done, I'll just throw it up and then we'll be done. We'll throw it up this Saturday. We release them Saturday at 10 in the morning. And I looked at it and I thought, that's kind of pointless, but it's kind of, you know, it's inane, you know, it's just, it's benign more than anything. And so, yeah, go ahead and throw it up.
Yeah.
And I was headed down to, I think it's that gig in Los Angeles on Catalina Island. And he called me and he goes, have you seen what's going on? And at that time, it had 500,000 hits. This thing what I thought was not even worth releasing, right? You know, like I thought, what would anybody, you know, that's kind of, you know, that's stretching it to think somebody would be interested in this, right? Well, and you know, lo and behold, they got 1.5 million views, and so what happened is that made it. Oh wow, I guess we got to keep doing this because we made money off just that. You know, we made about $500 just off the streams off that one. You know, and so like he's going at the very least, if I could recreate this, you know, it'd be every once in a while $500 hit, you know, or whatever. Like, but we doubled our with that one. We went from 1,500 subscribers to over 3,000 in just a very little amount of time. And so, you know, that's more of a passion type thing, that whole Beach Boys thing. But what we found is my Beach Boys and my Fiddle worlds have crossed so many times, and the reason we keep curating that Beach Boy audience is because it's fun, and I love that whole thing. But you know, there probably will be a way to monetize that. Some, you know, there already has been small ways that people, when we were making the podcast episodes, people were donating money, just sending us checks because they wanted us to keep putting the content out, you know, and we were sometimes, you know, it was kind of amazing how much people were wanting that so much that they were sending us that much money, you know.
Is there any thought now, like with the success of those reels, to start the podcast portion again?
Not the podcast part of it, but always trying to find new ways to integrate, since we have their attention, to figure out ways to, you know, like maybe, you know, we've talked about with the instructional website, having a special section for Beach Boys fans where we can have easy guitar versions of Beach Boy tunes so they can, you know, learn, you know, I could do a section like that to where they could, you know what I mean? So they could actually be part of the website program then, you know, or, you know, but I think we would love to do it, but we're so heavily focused on that website right now, the instructional website, and it's growing and getting new subscribers all the time. I just talked to a gentleman yesterday from Beaumont, Texas, and he's doing we have a kind of an ultimate subscribers thing where he gets, not only does he get the material on the site, but then he gets to have a lesson with me once a month online. And so we're building that thing, and it's kind of like, I remember back when you weren't teaching, when you were asking me, because you knew I had one time had a huge teaching business, and I said, Fred, it's kind of a slow go, but if you got something good going, and if you got good clients that like you know, your business is going to grow through that, and it's just been kind of the same way, you know, with that. It's just all we focus on is trying to do a good job. I'm 56 years old, and I'm not looking to conquer the world. I'm looking at leaving something to the world that is going to be of some value. And that's what I'm focusing on, is what do I want people to see? What do I want people to hear? It's not what's going to sell or what's going to, you know, it's like, I would just want to, I want to do a good job.
Yeah.
As long as I focus on doing a good job, the other stuff will fall into place. That's another, let's talk about this. I see so many young people, and I remember what it was like. They get out there and they scratch and they claw so hard. They want to get to where they're going.
Yeah.
And the more you focus on just putting one foot in front of the other and just improving yourself as a musician, the opportunities will come. The best opportunities in my life have come, the ones I didn't even know were coming.
Right. Yeah.
Asleep at the Wheel.
Yeah.
Working as a visiting artist, teaching at Berkeley. So, you know, those were not things that I solicited. Those were things that just happened.
Right.
But they happened because I was a good enough musician to be in the position to when they happened that I would be able to do the job. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But
do
I
the
was
work
never
and
focused on doing the work. I'm just focused on doing the work.
Yeah.
And everything else comes.
Another friend of mine said, just do the work and forget about the outcome. Like if you're doing all the right things, the outcome is going to be what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to lead you to all these really cool opportunities and the people that you meet along the way that touch your life. And it's just, yeah, you're right. I mean, for sure, when I was younger, I was clawing and scratching my way, trying to, you know, make my mark.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, a handful of years ago, around 2020, I just had this whole just mind shift in what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there were a couple of things in play, like I had melanoma in my neck.
Mm-hmm.
That had to be
I remember
removed.
that.
And
yeah.
that was like, it's a scary thing, but at the same time, I'm like, that was a blessing or a necessary thing to have in my life to force me to go, this is what you're supposed to be doing and concentrate on that. And of course, Mary's had a lot to do with
you guys have
support
built
of that.
a phenomenal. You got it just really neat. I love the studio. I told you I've never come in the back entrance before. So I just love the whole setup. And you guys have been doing a lot of great work here. Not just all your teaching, but all the work you've done with Cliff over here.
Yeah.
All the and I don't even know what all you guys do over here. But I mean, you guys have a fantastic space. It's close to home.
Yeah.
You know?
It's very close to home.
Man, I loved when they come up with when I was still teaching and they these online lesson stuff. You know, I didn't even have to put my pants on to go to work.
Right.
You know?
You just got to have that lower half out of frame. Yeah, it's man, it's just the evolution of this space has been really cool, and you know, people that we've had over here to do work. One is Dave Eggers, and he's like a world-renowned cellist, and he's done not only all this work for like film and TV, but heavily influenced with like the band Foreigner when they did their whole orchestra thing. Like he led all of that and just all the records that he's been on. And he was coming into town to do like a week of clinic stuff at Idaho Fine Arts Academy. And the principal of the school, Chris Housel, called and said, Dave needs to get into a studio right away. Can you accommodate him? We're like, yeah. And so he needed to record cello parts for a Apple TV, series called The Last Days of Ptolemy Gray, which starred Samuel Jackson, and he also produced it. And so the music supervisor needed these cello parts done for that TV show. And so they were recorded right here in that room right there.
Yeah,
so
it was episode 5.
All the cello you hear in episode 5 of Last Days of Ptolemy Gray were recorded right in that space right there. And it was
very cool.
And it was cool. It wasn't like, oh, this famous person's coming over or anything. It was like, this person needs us, and we're going to provide the service. And
well, the cool thing is we had some time to get ready because he was in Cheyenne.
Yeah, he was driving here from Nashville.
We're like, okay, we got about 12 hours to get
brings this cello in from like the 1800s. And it
1840s or something.
Yeah, just
ancient thing.
And mic that up and record
that's
it.
Why he would drive is because he won't fly with it.
Yeah.
It's
I just really enjoy working here.
Yeah, I can see why.
Yeah, and all the cool people like Matthew Hartz, hanging out. It's really awesome, man. I love playing music with you. It's just like I said, when I'm from my spot on the stage, I can see everything, and it's just really fun. Like the interaction that we have as a band when we're playing together.
Well, I tell you, and it's special when we have that, me and you and Alf and Cliff.
Yeah.
That's it. And get how much fun I came back telling everybody that was so much fun the other night playing McCall.
Yeah.
It was a full house and people were loving it all night long.
It was, yeah.
We were feeding off each other's energy. You know, I guess it's you know, I unfortunately I'm such an organic animal that, you know, I can be a different, depending on the energy and the atmosphere, I can be a completely different player. And it's not something that I intentionally do. It just depends. But boy, when everything is feeling right and it's going good, like it was the other night, we played some, we had, did we play 3 sets or 2? I think it was two really long ones. Yeah. And it just really tight. We're, you know, and just so much. We have a lot of that, you know, that it's a pretty energetic stage when Alfred De Verona comes to the table.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
I love.
Well, he and I have had a really deep musical connection for 30 years and all the different stuff we've done. And he was the first person that I played with that had this deep love of Rush, like I did. And you know, when the two of us got together,
remember when we hit on the Kiss thing? That it was at Elko.
Yeah.
Remember he and I just went, no, here we go.
I think I remember seeing videos of you guys playing.
And Cliff's like, what are these guys doing? But yeah, it's just it's a beautiful thing, man. It's fun, and I enjoy our time together and playing on stage and traveling, and you know, sometimes the stories need to stay in the car, but they're great stories.
Yeah, probably. When I heard that, I didn't know who was. First of all, the last time I played McCall with Cliff, it was just a duo, you know, because Forrester's kind of a small place, you know. And so when he told me the whole band was going and that Alf was going with us, I thought, I was looking forward to it for the next 2 days.
Yeah,
and I do like going just the car ride, you know, because we have so much fun traveling together.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, if you want to really know about people and their habits, get a group of guys together in a rig and go do a show and just watch what happens when you go to the quick stop.
Well,
what do people buy? What are they drinking? What are they eating? And then you kind of know how the rest of the day is going to go based on.
And then you could see me eat get 2 candy bars and Detroit style pizza at the Maverick, you know, and then a week later he's going on a 3-day fast. Right. No, I didn't eat the Detroit style pizza was a lot longer ago. But
that's hard to avoid those things sometimes. And I become a master of indecision too when I'm wandering the aisles and in the gas station, like
because it's all garbage.
It is all garbage.
It is all garbage.
It is all garbage.
Fiddle was asking earlier, have you ever played the Blues Caverns in Tennessee?
I know what I think he's talking about there's a venue called the Caverns over there, and Asleep at the Wheel, I think the year or 2 before I joined them, they did a TV show from there. That might be what he's talking about, but I have not personally played them.
Yeah,
I played a lot of places in Tennessee.
Right.
What is your favorite place to have played?
Oh man, that's
Anywhere.
that Willie Nelson 4th of July picnic was pretty special, I would say. But I've got to do a lot of neat gigs. Went to Switzerland with the Sleep at the Wheel.
Wow.
And besides that, just toured almost all of the United States, you know, and got to see parts of the United States that I'd never seen, you know, just all the East Coast stuff that I'd never been through, just going through all those towns after hearing about them all your life.
Sure.
And those were cool. But, I've been on the Grand Ole Opry, I think 6 times.
Wow.
Performed on the Grand Ole Opry, and then a buddy of mine was reminding me that way back in the day when I was winning those fiddle contests, there was a gentleman who was affiliated with the Grand Master Fiddle Contest in Nashville, and he was a marketing guy for the Dallas Mavericks. And so I got to play halftime of a Mavericks Celtics game, and then the next year I played halftime of a Mavericks Knicks game.
Wow.
Right on center court. While everybody's out getting their beer, or but at the same, they still got, that was, those are some of the weirder things. There's been so many neat gigs over the years. I'd feel like I was leaving something out, but those are the things that just kind of stand out.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
What was like the weirdest place you've played? Haunted, like were there ghosts? Did it have a weird reputation? Like anything just off and weird? Like
so many places that I didn't know where I was.
What's the weirdest?
I've been trying to think of what would be the weirdest. There's been so many times when we've been setting up for a gig, and I said, "Boy, I never come across this before." Right? It's a lot of but I'm trying to think. I can't think of the weirdest one off the top of my head. Or strangest thing. I know there's something in there. It'll come to me later.
Yeah. Well, we probably have very similar stories with just substitute the name of the place and the people that you're working with. But I always laugh because you say so many times to me, like right before we go on stage, Fred, I played a lot of gigs, and this is one of them.
I got that. I stole that. An old Western swing fiddle player named Johnny Gimble down in Texas, a phenomenal player, played with the Bob Wills band. I can't even go into what a great legendary fiddle player he is, but he was kind of he was really funny too. And somebody come up and said, "Boy, I'll bet you you've never played it. Have you ever played a gig like this before or something?"
Yeah.
Some promoter would come up with, "Isn't this neat?" Or these and say, "You know what? I've played a lot of gigs, and this is one of them." Completely take the air out of it.
Exactly. It's an interesting perspective, right? Because of somebody that's had some miles under them doing shows and being in a lot of different. That's why I think the movie Spinal Tap is so funny. It's because so much of it is so real.
We still need to see the new one.
But it's like that saying, "I played a lot of gigs and this is one of them," I think helps keep things in perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like you could be on a big deck in an arena playing to thousands of people, or you could be, on the floor in the corner of a bar,
or at the care center playing to 10 or 20 people that really need you.
Yeah,
and so it is, to me, they're all the same in that I'm going to try to do the best job I can for every stinking gig, but put myself so for me, the gigs, whether you're playing to 20,000 people or 20, it's still the same for me.
Yeah.
It's more about how can I do a good job? How can I do a good job?
Yeah. I guess sometimes I want to be in better situations, where we played a few of those wedding receptions this year where we were well taken care of.
Oh yeah.
And others not so much.
No, but it varies, right?
Right.
And you never know what you're going to get.
It feels nice when everybody's on the same page or on the same team, and they're making sure you're taken care of, and that you don't, nothing's left to chance or for you to sit and wonder about this, that, and the other. And but if I'm playing a show and I'm going to put the effort into moving my arms and stuff, why not just play great or as great as I can? It's like cleaning your room. Just why not clean the whole thing?
Right.
Why leave this pile, which I have a pile and I need to clean up anyway. But Matt, thanks so much for joining me on my show today.
Well, thank you so much. It's an honor, Fred. And I was happy to get up this morning and come over here and do this, and been looking forward to it. And I wish you success with with going forward with everything.
Yeah, thanks, man. And you as well. I started going down the rabbit hole of the the Beach Boys page, and I'm like, I need to. Well, I think I feel a connection because you're my friend, you know, and like when I have friends doing cool stuff and they're excited, I get excited. I get happy for them too, and I want to help support, you know, in whatever way I can, and go, yeah, that was really awesome.
You know, it's at this point in my life, it's really nice when you get to a point in your life where you realize it's about everybody else, and you can't, and it's like, you know, I really am. It's you know, I'm at a stage with my music career to where, you know, just going, I enjoy the challenge of just going out and doing a good job.
Yeah,
whatever that means.
Yeah. Awesome. Matt, I think that sums it up just great. You know, normally when we have a in-studio guest, Mary makes breakfast, but you told me you were heading into the fasting world.
My regular eating window is going to be somewhere around, I really do well with that one big meal a day. You know, it's about not starting your insulin any other time, you know, and so I had to, and so I'm gonna focus on coming out of this fast, doing what feels really good for my body and still make sure I'm getting all the nutrients and nutrition that I need and everything. But I'm not going to let society tell me that I need 3 meals a day, because I know that's a lie. I remember I told my cousin who cuts my hair, she's a sweetheart. I remember this was a couple years ago when I first was getting into intermittent fasting. Of course, everybody, she goes, well, I've heard about it. She goes, I eat 3 times a day and I'd eat 6 if I could, you know, you know, like some people just can't fathom it, you know, it just does not, you know, but I think that coming out of, I really did do some good for my body on that 72-hour fast. And I want to make sure that I sustain some of that, but it's more about, for me, it's about feeling good. It's about feeling good physically, having my psoriasis symptoms be at bay, my arthritis symptoms being at bay, but also mentally. It's mental fog that I'm just wanting to feel good.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what all this is driven. It's not for any reason other than that.
Yeah.
Just wanting to feel good. And constantly I've figured out by experimenting with my diet that I can change that, you know, that I'm kind of my own chemist, you know, I could do these things without too much risk and see if they work for me.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So anyway,
that's great. That's great. Well, thank you everybody for joining in. Next week will be episode 156. That'll be 3 years.
Wow. That's a lot of consistency.
I'm going to throw myself a birthday party. And we're just going to reminisce about some stuff, and maybe I'll think of some controversial topic to bring up.
Controversial topic?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like cargo shorts and flip-flops.
Well, something other than that.
iPad.
We'll find something new to complain about. Guys, have a great rest of your day, and make sure you check out Matthew Hartz music.com. Is that correct?
Yes, that's the teaching
Boys
site.
Yep.
And then on the YouTube channels one's called Matthew Hartz Music, and then the other one is the Beach Boys Beat.
Yeah. Go check it out. You will not be disappointed. So thanks, Matt, again for being here. Appreciate it, man. Yep. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.
I've got